What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is top 10 facts about America that make no sense to anyone, apparently.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see if it makes any sense to you guys because you're from America. I don't know if this is going to be like facts about America or kind of like, I know it says facts about America, but I was thinking the ones like stuff which happens in America, like free refills, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what route it's going to go around.
Okay.
Smash that like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button. We'd seriously appreciate it. What is the like goal for today?
1.7.
1.7, and we've been stacking on likes, so smash that like button. We would seriously appreciate it. And are you ready?
I'm ready.
The top 10 facts about America that makes sense to nobody. What we got?
Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching Top 10's Net, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 facts about America that make no sense to anyone else.
Which guy?
America. It's one of the biggest countries on Earth, both in terms of population and sheer size. It's the planet's dominating superpower, the heaviest hitter where culture is concerned, and a place known by nearly every single human being on the planet, and to all but the 4 to 5% of humanity who live there, it makes absolutely no gosh darn sense. You see, despite its cultural clout, America is still deeply weird to foreigners. And we don't just mean people who come from repressive kingdoms and tin-pot dictatorships. Europeans, people from Southeast Asia, Australians and Brits, we all find huge chunks of the good old US of A little bit beyond comprehension. If you were born stateside...
I think it's vice versa though, isn't it?
I feel like there's things that Americans will it'll make no sense to them what we do.
Definitely. It's whatever
Like
you go up
Boxing
with.
Day, that probably makes no sense to them.
Exactly. I think it's just whatever you go up with.
Yeah.
Weird is kind of what you're not used to,
Yeah, it's like...
in that sense.
It's not personal to the country, it's just more individual.
Your experience, definitely.
Well, maybe this video isn't going to be weird for you, but trust me, every foreigner watching this is watching with their jaw dangling open and their eyeballs popping out. Number 10. US toddlers shoot one person a week.
What?
Americans sure love guns. The US has the highest
US
rate of
toddlers?
gun ownership on
I knew
planet
that.
Earth and the least
Do you know how I knew
restrictive
that?
gun laws. Only
I'm guessing for your school.
No. It's I think it's I saw this article about it like last year, and it's they find the guns in
I mean,
the
accidentally
house
shoot
and
them.
then don't know because they accidentally shoot like their siblings. Or,
Yeah.
like,
I
they
suppose
don't know they're doing it.
there's that many people there's a chance it just takes one a year, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there was this one guy. I think this one man. He had the gun underneath his child's bed.
Oh.
It was under the cot.
I can say that's
So
risky.
they just found it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. You knew that? I didn't. There you go. Wow.
Switzerland comes
Dangerous.
close. That's all thanks to the Second Amendment, which has been the subject of near constant debate since being written. But it's not the sheer number of guns in America that really astounds foreigners, it's the crazy things that this leads to. Things like US toddlers shooting one person a week. There's literally no other country on Earth you could write that sentence about. Even countries that are swimming in guns like Serbia, Norway and Switzerland don't have toddlers blowing one another away. To be fair, they have tiny populations, but to be even fairer, come on man. US toddlers have shot on average one person a week, including themselves, for the past 2 years. Even war zones don't have numbers like that. More bizarre still, America keeps on arming its toddlers. In 2016, Iowa made it legal for babies to handle loaded guns. Oh yes, that's right, the guys in the Hawkeye state elected to arm the very babies that are trying to shoot them. How's that for hubris?
Wow.
Number 9.
That's why they're shooting.
Bestiality is still legal in 9 US states, but premarital sex is outlawed. Despite this being 2017, plenty of US states still have sex laws on the books that are, well, let's say unenlightened to say the least. And by that, we mean they were seemingly written by 2 guys named Festus and Bubba while necking with their pet hog, Clancy. Incredible
Wait,
as it
what's
may
bestiality?
seem, there are nearly...
Sex with animals, pretty much. But yeah,
Why would you want to do that?
some people are different.
10 US states where it is still legal to have sexual intercourse with animals. We say, well, nearly 10 because one's the District of Columbia, not a state, kids. The other 9 are Hawaii,
Vegas,
Kentucky, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, Texas, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. In addition, plenty of states still only consider bestiality a misdemeanor. This would be odd enough if the US was a spectacularly licentious place, but it's not. In addition to allowing you to marry your bestest sow, 4 states still outlaw either premarital or extramarital sex, or cohabiting with your partner prior to marriage. While the laws are effectively never enforced, the fact that they're still on the
Yeah, there you
statute...
go.
Like, I get it, you shouldn't do it, but that's a whole lot.
Yeah, that's quite mad, isn't
You go
it?
to prison.
That is quite mad. I imagine it'll be a fine, won't it?
Jeez.
That's mad.
Books attests to America's unique mix of religious piety and deep-seated desire to mimic the guys from Deliverance. Number 8. The highest paid public employee in 39 states is a sports coach. Go to any other country in the Western world,
good job as
Canada,
well.
Germany, the Czech Republic, New Zealand, wherever, and the highest paid public employee will be someone working in a selfless capacity. They'll be the guys and gals running universities or public hospitals or the local council. America, though, laughs in the face of such devotion to the public good. Instead of rewarding headmasters or doctors or teachers, the highest public pay package in 39 states goes to sports coaches, specifically guys coaching football or men's basketball.
I mean, it does make sense. College football is huge, isn't it?
I mean, I get it. But it doesn't make sense on comparison to not paying the doctors and nurses.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I never said it was right. It makes sense, but I never said it was right.
I get why they do get paid it, but I feel like they probably still shouldn't be paid the highest.
Yeah, because it is all supply and demand, isn't it? They get that many people coming to the games, it's so big, and they want to make it happen.
Package, it's like...
But I get what you mean, unfortunately. You want the doctors to get more money.
Not talking comparatively small sums either. The salaries involved would be enviable in the private sector. University of Alabama football coach Nick Saban, for example, rakes in over $7 million plus bonuses, likely making him one of the highest paid public employees not living in a corrupt dictatorship.
Wow.
For those from outside the US, this seems less extravagant and more like an absolute inability to get their priorities right. Only Alaska, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, Montana, New York, Nevada, New Hampshire, Vermont, and both Dakotas refused to award their highest pay packet to a football or men's basketball coach. Interestingly, both Hawaii and Vermont, as you'll remember from a second ago, still technically allow bestiality. We're really not sure what to make of that. Number 7. Over half of all Americans don't hold a valid passport.
We knew that one, didn't we?
In 2014, polling company YouGov revealed that only 8% of Britons had never left their country of birth to travel abroad. While this is maybe not that super impressive, Britain is tiny and is close to France, it puts the US to shame. The same poll found that only 50% of Americans would admit to ever having left the country. That's nearly 160 million people who have never been to Canada or Mexico, let alone Europe or Asia. For people who were born in Europe, that's almost like saying you've never seen a glass of water. The idea of not going abroad from time to time is alien. In places like Germany, over 90% of the population hold a valid passport, and you better believe they use it. But that's Europe, we hear you cry. It's a small continent with like a bazillion countries. Well, first, we're pretty sure you're exaggerating, and second, look at Australia, a country nearly as big as the US and more cut off from the rest of the world. According to official data, 1/3 of the population goes abroad every single year. That compares to 50% of Americans over their entire lifetimes. Clearly, the US is a travel-averse country. Number 6. 30% of Americans
we've covered it
prefer
those,
saving.
haven't we? But it makes sense.
It does.
The country's so big, you've got so many different cultures right at your doorstep where you can drive, you don't need to get on a plane.
No.
Happy days.
Money to vital medical treatment. Compared to other developed nations, healthcare in the US is expensive. You can blame that on too much Obamacare or not enough of it, but the fact remains that public systems, private systems, and public-private systems elsewhere in the world all deliver better service at lower cost. This alone can seem staggering to foreigners. Then there's the American attitude to health. Faced with a serious illness or injury, around 30% of Americans would rather walk it off than pay for treatment.
That's mad, isn't it?
Well, it simply doesn't happen anywhere else. Norway has the second most expensive healthcare system in the world, and pretty much no one there avoids necessary treatment. Japan has an insurance-based private system with payments often covered by employers, just like the US, and people don't skip out on medical care. In order to find other people who are skipping out on hospitalization to save money, you have to leave the developed world behind and start poking around in poorer countries where wages are low and healthcare is unaffordable. We're not trying to rag on American healthcare here. America has some of the best doctors and hospitals in the world. But the idea that you'll choose money over health, or that you'd have to choose two non-Americans, that's kind of insane.
It's that choice,
Number
isn't it?
5,
Not to get
7
it.
states have custody rights for rapists. Okay, let's turn to some really, really dark stuff now. There exists a certain subsection of guys who, well, they like to rape women. Occasionally, this results in their victims getting pregnant. Depending on where they live and their religious convictions, the women may then decide to carry the baby to term. Now, here's where it gets really creepy. In around 7 states, it's perfectly legal for the rapist father to sue for custody of his newborn child. Just imagine that for a second.
That's mental,
You've been
isn't it?
violently assaulted, you've gone through the hell of guilt and self-recrimination, been courageous enough to bring the resulting baby into the world, and now you're forced to watch as the D-bag who hurt you decides he wants to be a father to your son or daughter. Well, if you live in Alabama, Mississippi, Maryland, New Mexico, North Dakota, Wyoming, or Minnesota, that can totally happen.
There's quite a few as well, isn't it? That is mad. Hopefully that changes.
That's weird. Why would you want someone like that around a child?
It's just, and it's full just trauma. It's just more trauma after trauma, isn't it, I guess, as well?
Yeah, and like, clearly they're not safe.
Yeah, it's mental.
In addition, there are 20 more states where it might be legal. In Indiana, for example, you can only block the rapist from seeking custody if you remember to do so within 3 months of your baby being born. This is some seriously dark stuff, and we guarantee that if you mention it to anyone from anywhere else in the developed world, their jaws will drop so low they hit the ground. Okay, sure, some Middle East states may have even worse laws, but that's not really a benchmark to aspire to, is it? Number 4, America has more self-identified patriots than anywhere else on Earth.
I love it.
In
Matt.
2016, Gallup released the results of their yearly patriotism poll. They found that 52% of Americans call themselves extremely patriotic, which is the lowest level in polling history. The news triggered a slew of introspective articles by American writers wondering what had gone wrong. For those reading elsewhere in the world, though, it felt like stepping through the looking glass. 52% is such a good score that it leaves other countries eating the USA's
Yeah, it's still
dust.
high.
Such levels of patriotism simply don't exist in the rest of the developed world. In a similar survey by YouGov, only 13% of Brits thought their country was the best in the world. That was the highest score in the EU. Germany and France got only 5% each. The second and third highest ranking countries
There's a difference, though,
globally...
between patriotism and thinking your country's the best in the world.
I feel like, yeah, everyone's going to think their country's... Well, not everyone, obviously, but most people are going to think their country's good.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, if someone said to me, do you think your country's the best in the world? I'd probably say no, because we ain't got the best military. We ain't got the most
But you
money.
still like your country.
But yeah, but if someone asked me how much I love my country, or do you love your country the most, I'd be like, oh yeah, love my country. Always support the football, absolutely love it, very patriotic for my country. But I wouldn't say that it's the best
But are
country
you
in the world.
patriotic for your country, or are you patriotic for the football?
For you, the country, because it's for the country, isn't it? If it was a football, I'd pick any team. But I think there's just a difference between, if you're saying best, I'd say no, because I know it's not the best country in the world, because if you look at all the stats, we're probably not one in anything. But if you're saying, do I love my country? Yeah, I do. I think it's the best country I love, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's just the wording of it.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you think that, because then the polls potentially don't add up. I don't know. It's a weird one.
India and Australia, who scored 34% and 36% respectively. But the US? Well, the US busted through the 40% mark, with an additional 32% claiming America was, at the very least, better than most other countries. For the majority of foreigners, the idea of showing US levels of patriotism is simply alien. You will never see a flag in every yard in any other country on Earth, but that's the US public for you, optimistic to a T. Even if they're unhappy with their current government, folks still believe that the idea of America itself is worth believing in. Number 3. Americans are more likely to get bitten by other Americans than rats. The stereotype is that Americans like 3 things: football, fast food, and violence, often all at once. It's true that America's murder rate is crazy high. It's also true that the national sport is getting drunk and starting bar fights. But surely it's not as bad as all that. Well, we hate to break it to you, but this arresting statistic says otherwise. If you live in America, you are more likely to be bitten by another American than you are by a rat.
Wow.
To be clear, this isn't because US rats are particularly docile or rare on the ground. Cities like New York are completely infested and people are getting bitten all the time. There are over 40,000 rat bites recorded in America each year.
How many normal
The only
bites?
trouble is there are at least 45,000 human bites
Wow.
recorded right alongside them. Again, this is a freaky fact for Americans too, but also, again, it's just something that doesn't happen in most other countries. Sure, drunks in Britain do like to hit each other and Italian soccer hooligans are violent as heck, but biting enough people to outstrip rats, it's something we can't imagine happening anywhere else.
Yeah, I can't believe
Number
that. That's
2,
mental.
Americans take fast food extremely literally. The United States is the birthplace of fast food. It's the nation that brought the world the drive-thru, perfected the snack, and coined the phrase lunches for wimps. Foreigners know all this intellectually, but confront them with a statistic like the following, and it's still likely to blow their minds. Americans, you see, are the third fastest eaters on Earth. On an average day, Americans spend only 74 minutes eating, nearly the lowest in the world. That's only slightly over 20 minutes each for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and far less if you include time put aside for eating snacks. If you live in the US, this probably doesn't seem so weird to you. Working lunch is an American speciality, but if you live elsewhere, well, you're probably wondering how the heck they do it. In France, the average eating time is 135 minutes a day. In Turkey, it's 162 minutes. Even in Japan, where people work for longer hours than the US, they still manage to put aside 117 minutes a day for chow. The only other countries to spend as little time eating are Canada, 72 minutes, and Mexico, under 70 minutes. This is probably to do
pretty much shown in the US restaurants we have in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much TGI's is what we're talking about, because we went that one time, didn't we? Rapid.
It was rapid.
Way too quick for us. But I guess that's that coming over, boom, clear your plate, move it on.
Same kind of,
Same kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
with both the American hard work ethic and fast food culture, which prioritizes productivity over relaxation. The same can be seen in a related statistic on cooking times. Nowhere else on Earth do people spend as little time cooking every day as they do in America.
What?
Number 1. Government departments have official advice for reporting Elvis sightings. One of the things foreigners know about the
Just in
US
case he's
is
alive.
that it's full of wackos seeing wacko things. There's a reason The X-Files was so popular 20 years ago. But it's one thing to hear about guys filming shaky footage of Bigfoot on their cell phone. It's another entirely to hear that actual US government departments have official advice for Elvis sightings. For example, there's the federal government's official website for copyright. It's a website that is paid for with taxpayer money, and it includes official advice on how to copyright your sighting of Elvis. This isn't a joke section put up by some light-hearted bureaucrat indulging a whim. It's completely mind-bogglingly serious, which means the government was getting deluged with enough requests about Elvis sightings that they went to the trouble to post official advice about it. So I really hope you found that video interesting.
That
If you
is
please
so
do
mental.
hit that thumbs up button below.
Smash that button, smash the subscribe button. Some wacky ones in there.
Some really weird ones in there.
Some weird and horrible ones.
Yeah.
Some wacky ones. Some serious ones. And some
everything.
a bit of everything. Literally, did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was good.
Smash that button, guys. Let us know if anything there was new to you. And yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Have a fantastic day. You should say that. So what should we do?
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.